Hey, good morning. Thanks for being with us for a CBS 8 Plus extended forecast. I'm Evan Narani, getting you a check of what to expect over the course of the next 48 hours, where we still have some wet weather, and beyond, where we are back to dry skies. Something to celebrate out there. We've watched as some intense showers came through overnight. So as you head out today, you might notice wet roads, some pooling, some ponding. But in terms of what is remaining, there's not a lot left. We still have a decent opportunity for rain over the course of the day today. About a 79% chance now, down to 54 by Friday. These numbers have moved up and down a bit. One thing that hasn't changed is Saturday through next week. It is going to be a very slim opportunity on Saturday to see anything at all, and then all the way through next week, almost no opportunity for rain as this ridge of high pressure builds overhead. So finally transitioning away from the widespread wet weather and toward more dry skies. All right, so around midnight to about 2 a.m., we had a pretty decent widespread cell come through. What you're looking at here is mainly the last 4 hours, and that has shown that it's pretty much just been a few light scattered showers that have moved onshore. This is all we have left for the day, but it still could culminate to a quick downpour at times. Most of these cells don't seem to be carrying much moisture with them, which means I wouldn't call anything that we're seeing out there a downpour, but a quick light rain, perhaps. That's going to be the case over the next 12 hours or so. You can see how getting toward 9 p.m. there's a better opportunity, very similar to almost every night we've encountered, where overnight we'll pick up on a bit more activity, strengthened, more widespread. So by 9 p.m., better indication of seeing a couple showers move onshore. Temperatures mostly in the 50s out there. It was a cold start to the morning because we're starting to watch as now that those clouds break apart, we see more and more overnight cooling. We've been treated over the last several mornings to some very mild overnight lows, 50s mostly. Now we're back down to the 40s, and pretty soon we'll be back down to the 30s after this storm passes. Question on everyone's mind is how much is left? Not much is the answer. 2/10 perhaps along the coastline, 3/10, maybe 4/10 the farther east you go. These accumulations are rather light and probably will more so come down over the course of the day on Friday as opposed to Thursday. So again, these models can jump a bit, meaning pounce on a very slim opportunity for rain. There's really not much activity despite what you see here. But what we have moving forward is indication of a few slivers of rain moving onshore. There's really not a lot left, as you can see. Maybe by 2 p.m., a little bit of stronger cell that develops over San Diego, moving towards Santee. Along the 8, for example, a little bit of snow off toward Pine Valley. Our mountains have been picking up on generous amounts of snow, and that means that there is still more on the way out there, especially overnight from tonight into tomorrow. So we'll pause this as we get into Friday and things become a little bit more active. This is closer to 5:30 a.m. morning commute. It could get a bit wet, and that does indicate the chance of some thunderstorms, but this is probably more so going to come in the form of moderate showers that will move onshore for early Friday morning. That's through the day on Friday. By the time we get to the noon hour, 1 p.m., we're back to mostly dry conditions along our coastline, and all that activity starts to push toward the mountaintops and stay there. That means west of the mountains will favor drier and drier conditions. You can see how the coast stays mostly dry in that stretch all the way through your Friday. And then here's Saturday, nothing. We're back to completely dry skies across the county. So it's an 8-day that I would say, and I think a lot of San Diegans would say, should be celebrated. We have more days of dry weather now moving forward than we do wet weather. There's also indication that we will have more wet weather beyond this, about 10 to 12 days from now. That's a long time from now, and that means that we're not focused in on it yet because there's no way to pin that down. But what we can celebrate is this at least moderate stretch of dry weather. Today and tomorrow, scattered showers that still could culminate to 1 to 2/10 of an inch. Long breaks in the wet weather that allow for the clouds to break and the sun to peek through. Temperatures are going to be mild over the weekend, still slightly below average. Jacket will still come in handy for Super Bowl Sunday because of how cold those overnight low temperatures will be. That means very cold mornings, very cold nights, including the night of the Super Bowl where temperatures will fall down to 37 degrees. Into next week, we climb a bit on our afternoon highs, head back toward about 70 degrees perhaps across many of our inland valleys. We're still working with a lot of wind over the mountains and deserts, 50, 60 mile per hour gusts possible, and still some snow, although we could be flirting more with a higher snow level instead of say 4,200 feet where Julian is and where Julian has picked up on a lot of snow. could be moving up 5,000, 5,500 feet, for example. That's the trend. And then that would mean more and more of our local mountains picking up on rain over snow. Into next week, we gain 20 degrees on these afternoon highs. 43 this afternoon. Look at what we see a week from today. 62 degrees on that afternoon high. Same across the deserts. We're mostly in the 50s today, climbing to the 70s by the time we get into Wednesday, Thursday of next week. So drier, warmer conditions all in the forecast by the weekend into next week. It's today and tomorrow that we still have some of those scattered showers, a little bit more of the inclement weather to get through before we transition toward drier skies. We made it through most of it. This fell in line with forecast totals with almost exactly what we expected. That was 2, 3, 4 inches, depending on how far north you go. Heaviest accumulations up to the north of us, especially 4-inch spots like Oceanside, Fallbrook, Vista, all very heavy stuff that they saw. Lighter stuff the farther south you go and the farther east you go. They picked up generally on some lighter accumulations. Really was dependent on where you were. So this storm brought us more than we bargained for. It brought us more than we would normally see in an entire month of February. February almost doubled in just the first week with all the rain that we saw. We are now transitioning toward drier skies. Wind will die down over the course of the day today into tomorrow. All of our watches, warnings, and advisories will expire by this evening. That's a wind advisory. That's a winter storm warning over the mountaintops. That's a beach hazard statement. We'll transition toward more mild, comfortable conditions. All right, you can join us any time of the day on CBS8.com. Our live stream is there. That is always up. You can also join us every weekday morning starting at 4:30 a.m. I'm Evan Noorani. Stay safe out there. If you're making travel plans to the mountains, I'd say wait until the weekend, until those roads are back open and until they are safe. In the meantime, have a great day. We will see you later.